happened. And, that played a big role for us too.
Yeah, man, good for you. So you were at the time making enough money to, I suppose, well, more than enough to survive in music, and kind of the rest of history, right? So,
yeah, we were. We could afford a nicer used car. I got married in '87, and my wife and I, I was making enough money, so we bought a little house out in the country.
yeah,
And then the family started coming along.
gotcha.
Yeah.
And the next album was Blind Man Zoo, right?
Yeah.
That received a lot of success in the chart, not just in the US, but in the UK.
Yeah, we did that one again with Peter Asher because we enjoyed working with him and he enjoyed working with us. But we kind of talked him into coming east, and we went to Woodstock, New York, and we recorded that record there. It didn't sell as many records as ultimately as In My Tribe did. It didn't have the really big radio hits, but we were MTV. We said, okay, we'll do videos, but the boys kind of pushed Natalie to be the star of that stuff. We said, you do it. We don't need to be in the video. You do it. And so she did. And, it certainly helped her career later on, being the face of the band and the voice. Although the boys in the band wrote most of the music, some of the songs she wrote the music to, but most of them were written by the boys in the band.
Yeah.
MTV was the national radio station. It was such a big thing, and we were in the right place at the right time. When that came out. And the record company, would find the money to make it. Of course, record companies were rolling in dough back then because of that thing called CDs, and everyone went out and bought their record collection all over again in CDs because they were so convenient. And there's an argument whether or not they sound better or not. That sort of depends on the individual, I think, but. They were just rolling in cash. So they were spending it everywhere, and I'm sure we've probably spent too much money making some of our records. We could have done them less expensively, but, we were selling millions of records, and then we got into bigger venues, and, how that goes.
Yeah. If it's not a very intrusive question, in general terms, what was the reason, if you could tell me, if now it's okay, what Natalie Merchant ended up leaving? I mean, she was like the face, attractive lady. She was doing the video. And then, like in many bands, I suppose there are discussion, and she say, whatever it was, hey, I can sing very well without you guys. I want to move my own. And it's.
Well, I think she got that from a lot of people, like, you don't need these guys, and she had no ambition to be in music. When we met her, she was going to college to go into humanities or be a social worker. She did not have ambitions to be a singer in a band. We all, the boys in the band, we wanted to be in a band since we probably all saw the Beatles,
Right, yeah.
And she was too young to see that. She was considerably younger than we are. Still is. And she, we were also boys, and sometimes, we'd do boyish things, and we like to drink, and we like to smoke pot, and we did other drugs, and she didn't like that or appreciate that from us. And she often told us she was going to leave the band, and then finally, before we recorded Our Time in Eden, we sat down and she said, boys, this is the last studio record I'm doing with you. And we were okay with that. We couldn't stop her. We were glad that, we had the opportunity to do one more record with her. And I'll tell you, Claudio, that was making that record was probably, it was really fun. It was really relaxing. We enjoyed working with our producer, Paul Fox. He's a great guy. And it was a really great time. But Natalie wanted to control her music. She did not like art by committee. She didn't like the way sometimes we would take her songs and develop them into our style of playing. And, I think she also wanted to, control all her record royalties, so everything was hers.
Yeah.
So, we can't blame her for it. We were fortunate that we got to do the second MTV Unplugged thing, because that became a very successful record as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's it helped us get along for a while.
Yeah. Sometimes it's always, I mean, when you leave a band, right, you're always taking the risk, right? So you might go on your own and then when a good, because based on your experience with a new record label, and hire a bunch of guys to do new things. And sometimes it works out for singers, sometimes it doesn't, right? So everybody needs to do what what they need to do, I suppose. And it happened to many bands, right? With, I don't know, like Peter Gabriel leaving Genesis, and Gumbo and other band complain, well, if we are 6 in the band, we need to split the sale into 6, right? It goes,
that's right.
Split. And some members are, no. I want to take 3/3 of that because I wrote that and I'm a good looking person and people know me on TV for my face, whatever.
Well, yes, there is that involved. I think it happens a lot.
And then she did very well her life. I'm happy for her. I never have the opportunity to meet her, I have seen her many times. Then John and Mary came along, right? You guys needed to find a new singer, I suppose. How you get a hold of Mary? How you have that? Came
well,
along?
that was really John when he left the band. We had sort of a difference of opinion of musical direction, and there were some arguments and bad feelings when he left, unfortunately, because he left right before we recorded In My Tribe, and that's when we started making money.
Yeah.
And he likes to say it was, he felt like it was, he broke up with his girlfriend and then she won the lottery. But so when John left, I think he moved to Buffalo, New York from Jamestown where he lived. And John is, he's a single man. He's been single his whole life. He likes to go out and see bands. He listens to music all the time. Like you, he goes to a lot of shows. And he saw Mary playing in a string quartet, I think. And they just started talking about music and, what music they liked. And John said, could you maybe play, I've got this song, could you play viola on it or sing on it? So that's when they formed their duo, John and Mary. And they got a record contract with Ryko Disc, and they made 3 CDs. And actually in 1991, after Blind Man Zoo was out, we needed to take some time off. We were all getting very tired and needed some time at home. And the record company said, well, you got to put something out. So they took the masters from our first 2 independent records, Human Conflict No. 5 and Secrets of the I Ching, and they remastered them, remixed them, and then re-released them as the album, The Hope Chest. And when we toured, so John was back working with us. He and Natalie did they worked on the artwork, and they went in the studio with the producer and worked on the remixes and things like that. So 90, 91, 92, we went out for a small tour, Hope Chest tour, we called it. And we invited John and Mary with us. So they were our opening act. And then John would join us on stage when we played all those songs from his era when he was with the band. And Mary would sing back up for Natalie and play viola on songs. And we got along really well. And when we recorded Our Time in Eden, Mary came in and did some vocals and played some string parts and songs. I think the song Jezebel, she played strings on. And then we invited Mary to be with us when we did the MTV Unplugged. She was in that show. She sang backup vocals and played viola. And actually, if you look closely on the cover of the MTV Unplugged, the picture of Natalie, right over Natalie's left shoulder, you can see Mary Ramsey there.
Really? Wow, I need to check.
Yeah, and that was totally unintentional. So after Natalie left, my son was born, like a month after Natalie left the band. So I was very content to not go anywhere. I bought some land. I built a house, a nest for my new family. And we ran into John in Jamestown over the Christmas holidays in, I think, 94. And he said, yeah, Mary and I have a bunch of songs, why don't we go up and record them? And we had been, Rob and Dennis and I had been, doing a little bit of writing in our studio here in town. So we went up to Buffalo to a studio and did some demos for some songs, and got along really well and liked how it sounded. So because we got the name of the band 10,000 Maniacs in the divorce from Natalie, she let us keep the name.
Really? Wow.
Well, she really didn't want to have anything to do with it anymore, and it really wasn't an issue. But we thought, it's most of the band. Let's keep the name.
Sure.
Who cares what people think? The first tour we did with that band, it was actually called John and Mary, Rob, Dennis, Steve, and Jerry. We did about a 3-week tour in the Northeast, trying out the new material, playing in small bars and stuff. And we were writing songs for what would eventually become the Earth Press Flat in 96, I think, or something like that. And somehow Geffen Records heard about what we were doing, and one of their representatives came to Jamestown, and we had a meeting and went out to dinner, and he signed us to Geffen Records. And so we sort of stopped what we were doing, and they said, well, you got to write, a bunch of new material again. So we did that, and that was a record that would eventually become Love Among the Ruins. That was released on Geffen Records in 97. And that had this single, More Than This, the Rocks and Music song.
I got you. Man, that's a great story. So after that period, you began, with your family and your wife, and you were not touring that much. What was, at the time, you were younger, of course, and what was the motivation to keep on going on the road? I mean, besides the money, everybody need to make money, and as touring musician need to go out to make some money. But what was the motivation to keep the band together and writing new songs and stuff like that?
It's what we wanted to do. I didn't want to go get another job, or as we like to say, get a real job.
A real job.
It's what we've always wanted to do. And we thought, here's another opportunity. Let's not let it slip by. And, and we found that we still loved each other, even though, past arguments, we buried the hatchet and just kept going. It's
the applause.
You got to get that, it's the drug that we love. And we were fortunate to have the opportunity with Geffen Records. And of course, then right at that time, the record industry completely fell apart, because while they had their hands in the cookie jar, taking money out because of all the CDs people bought, what they didn't know was They were shareable files. They were digital files. And all of a sudden, Napster comes along and says, oh, we can share these songs. You don't have to buy them. And the industry started falling apart. And Geffen Records had to start dumping bands from their roster. And we were probably the last one signed and the first one to go. They said, sorry. They released the one single and that was it. We were getting ready to release, hopefully, Rainy Day for our second single. But they said, nah. You're out. So, wow, now what do we do? So we just kept going, we're working now with our friend and producer, Armand Petrie, and he recorded stuff with us then with John and Mary. And, and he works very inexpensively. He just likes doing it. He just likes us. So we were lucky that we had that. And we released the Earth Press Flat. Didn't sell many copies, but we could still make a little bit of money on the road. It was tough, and then and then Rob died, and that was sad. that was a knife to the heart.
Yeah, so it's tough to be in general, be a musician, be on the road. I mean, I go to a venue, I pay $100, whatever, I drink a couple beers, and I eat something, I go home, but I don't think about it, how the band got there, the people slept the night before, they were in a tour bus for 5 hours the night before, they arrive at whatever, 3 o'clock in the morning, they need to go to a hotel, catch sleep, and then play the venue and they do the same thing again the day after. Plus,
it's not as
hanging out with the same people. Huh?
Yeah. It's not as glamorous as people think.
Yeah,
it's really hard.
Hanging out with the same people. If you got another boy with Johnny, Peter, and Mary the night before, you need to see them in the morning. What the heck, man? It's a lot of work. It's very tough, man.
Yeah, and if you can't get along, it's just not a good environment to be in. But we were lucky enough that we enjoy each other's company, and that's kind of why we tour the way we do now. I think if we were going to go and do a 4-month tour, that would be the end of the band. Because if we were with each other all that time, I don't think it would work. So, we try to keep the long view here, and stretch it out, and only go out for long weekends, and maybe if we go to South America, we might be gone for a couple of weeks, or if we go to the West Coast of the U.S., we might, play from San Diego up to Seattle, depending on, if the agent can find the right gigs and stuff for us. But we like to get away from each other, go home, be with our families, and sort of forget about it for a while. So it's not such an obsession. Because you really get obsessed with it when you're making a record, when you're on the road, and it's all consuming. It's all you can think about. And this way, the way we do it now, we can get a break from it and have a little time out and go and, go play some golf and work in the garden, and, it's healthier, I think, for our minds and for our relationships.
Absolutely, man. And you mentioned South America. Have you ever played there?
Oh yeah, we've been to Brazil,
right?
5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, we found a really good promoter down there, and he's had us there 5 times. We've played in Buenos Aires once.
Yeah.
We've played in Mexico City and Guadalajara.
Yeah.
Panama. I think that's it. We'd love to go back. South America is great.
Yeah. And we were talking before we began recording, if you go to Spotify, Brazil and Chile, so there's where you have more listeners to, music. Spotify, right?
We do. And we're, I think we probably would have been back in Brazil again sooner, but, because of the pandemic. And I think maybe the state of the politics in Brazil is kind of a struggle. The economy is struggling, but the promoter down there has said he wants to bring us back maybe in 2023. And we'd certainly like to get the opportunity to go, to play in Chile and Argentina again. We love Buenos Aires. We were in Little Soho is where we were staying. It's a beautiful part of the city. It was the gigs that they had for us were very strange. The venues were too big. They were sort of arenas, and it was too big. We didn't draw enough people, so it was kind of, it just didn't feel right. But the promoter lost. He lost a lot of money, I think. But he really likes the band, and he'll have us back.
Yeah. Are you guys nowadays? Are you sell? I mean, with the material that you're putting out, or that you have, are you doing self releases, or you go to an independent record label? Because every time I go to Beachmer, you end up, like on the shelf, they have some CD, T-shirt, and stuff like that. You guys doing on your own, or?
Yeah, we've been doing. We've recorded music from the motion picture, Playing Favorites, which is a live record that we recorded here in Jamestown, and then we released a record called Twice Told Tales, which was basically covers of some of our favorite traditional folk songs.
Yeah.
And then we recorded another album in San Diego, or in Solana Beach, California, at a really cool venue called Belly Up. They have in-house recording, so we just said, okay, let's try it. And, funny enough, we do get royalties from those, from like that Belly Up record. It's not much. It's, $700 a year, but, it's working. And, another great thing that happened because of the internet was crowdsourcing.
Yeah.
Was being able to raise money with fan support. And we were in a crowdfunding platform called, I forget. I'll remember it. And so we tried that, and we did raise enough money to make a couple of those records just from the kindness of our fans, and they, you'd pledge music. That's what it was. You'd pledge, $50, and when the record was done, you'd get a, vinyl, a CD, and a T-shirt, and maybe your name listed on the record as a executive producer. So that helped us.
Are you guys planning to do that again, so I can contribute? Or?
Yeah, well, Pledge Music, unfortunately, I don't know what happened to them, but that fell apart. I mean, there's things like Kickstarter.
Yeah, Kickstarter.
I don't, that they're a lot of work, because you have to keep your fans engaged while you're doing it. So over a period of maybe 6 months or 5 months, whatever, while you're making the record, you need to put stuff out there. You need to have videos so they can sort of see you recording, because I think a lot of fans are really fascinated about the actual art.
The process,
the making of the music, the process. And while it can be very, very boring, because you sit around a lot, fans don't get to see that. So we did that with a couple of records, and actually I did that because I'm the most computer literate, and I was the first person to have a computer, the first person to have a laptop, the first person to have a smartphone.
Wow. You like technology?
The first person, to have a Facebook page and social media. And yeah, I like it. I bought my first Apple computer in 1987.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, what I should have done was bought Apple stock. I just kept buying their product.
Yeah, the stock is doing very well. Well, nowadays the market's kind of iffy, but
yeah.
But it's I'm glad you like technology. But that's what I do for a living. Looking back at your musical career, what moments are special to you, if you will? Any regret or thing you will have done differently? Looking, everybody can look back and say, "Man, I should have done that and that and that." Some people say, "No, no, no. You know, I'm happy with my life or whatever."
Well, I think one of the most exciting moments for us was when we first time we landed in London.
Yeah,
That was very just thrilling, and that's when we went just to play those 3 shows. We landed in Heathrow, and we were driving to our hotel through the city streets, and having never been there, it was just so cool to be in another country and taste the food and hold the coins in your hand and talk to people. That was pretty neat. I think we did a USO show, 4 shows in the Middle East in 1999. We played in Kuwait City, Bahrain, and then we played a concert for American troops out in the desert by the Iraqi border. That was an amazing experience. Being there, being in those countries. Regrets, I think I wish I would have paid more attention to what we were doing. I was just sort of along for the ride, having fun. We worked hard at it, but just sometimes it was just more like, yeah, this is fun. I wish I would have paid more attention in the studios. Although I learned a lot, but I could have learned more. I think maybe I looking back, I wish I would have rehearsed more, on my own time. But we were playing so much, we were either in the studio or in our rehearsal space writing songs, or we were on the road. When I got home, what I wanted to do was just decompress and sort of forget about it.
yeah,
Because I'd be a better player, and I'm still getting better. We've been playing a lot lately, and my playing has improved quite a bit. I'm really quite happy about that. And
see, also you haven't mentioned the financial aspect or the promotion or the marketing. That's important. Bands want to play great music, but they will sell you from T-shirt to toilet paper with the face and whatever,
yeah,
or royalties, better deals, and it's gotta be always I don't know, I'm a financial person or in the band that can say, hey guys, if we do that, we can make more money, and that will pay off 20 years from now, 30 years from now, so we can retire on it, right? I suppose some people say, no, $50 is good enough for now, and let's drink a couple of beer and we go to the next town, and
That's exactly right, and that's why you've got to be lucky and get a good manager, and we did. We had a very good manager. He always looked out for us, and even though he's not officially our manager still, he still looks out for us, and we're looking for there's a law that 35 years after the release of a record. So for those 35 years, the record companies own the masters,
Oh,
the original recordings. But after 35 years, the bands have the rights to take
yeah,
those masters back and do whatever they want with them.
yeah.
So the Wishing Chair